This subsection is having a look at the dangers that speed poses to a vehicle entering into a side road. On either end of the scale, be it an excessively high speed or an excessively low speed, each have their own inherent hazards. In the first part of the video, we'll have a look at excessively high speed, and the danger comes from two areas. Firstly, when a vehicle enters into a side road and the oncoming vehicle is traveling at an extremely high speed. So that's one danger area. The second is when a vehicle is traveling at a high speed and tries to enter into the side road, but traveling too fast to be able to negotiate the corner successfully and poses a danger to any vehicles that are located right on the corner section of the T-junction. We'll have a look at the animation, and this illustrates the first point of a high-speed oncoming vehicle. For a number of people, they are unable to judge speed and distance accurately. Bearing that in mind, then, one would enter any junction or section where there's an overlapping of the paths of vehicles with extreme caution. So even if you think that an oncoming vehicle has been able to see you traveling down the road and is well aware of your existence, they may have seen you but may not be able to judge your speed accurately, and so despite that, they still proceed across your path in order to take the side road. So make sure that whenever you have a situation where vehicles' paths cross, that you slow down when you come to that section of road. One can't just assume that others will see you and allow you to pass safely. This is a real-life clip which illustrates the point that we've just seen in the animation. Vehicle ahead is turning into a side road and a high-speed oncoming vehicle collides with it. Now there you can see quite a bit of impact. This illustrates the second point of a high-speed vehicle trying to negotiate a corner unsuccessfully and crashes into the vehicles located on that section of the road. The latter part of this video has a look at excessively slow speed. Slow speed has a greater probability of any collisions taking place. Why is that? Well, due to the fact that any such slow-moving vehicle entering a side road spends a longer period of time in that danger zone. Let's have a look at the animation and then we'll discuss a few points. Here we have a truck that's crossing over into a side road. This may be an industrial area, and if you travel a road such as this frequently, and that is the case, that you have many trucks crossing over into the industrial area, then that would immediately be on your radar as a danger area within your vicinity that you normally traverse. And so to be more cautious and more aware of any such higher risk areas. Here we have a vehicle, likewise, entering into a side road at an extremely slow speed. Now already at this point, the camera should be aware that this vehicle is wanting to cross over. You can see the angle that the vehicle's at. Just behind this vehicle is another vehicle bypassing it. And the reason that it's bypassing the vehicle on our right side is because it's wanting to turn. And so because of that, it's bypassing. So already the camera should be alert that this vehicle is wanting to cross over. If we advance slightly, just a couple of seconds, note that the vehicle's already crossing over the line. And so the camera should be even more alert now that this vehicle's wanting to cross over. Now the camera shouldn't be traveling at the same speed in this situation, just assuming that this vehicle is now going to move into the side road at a normal speed. And so by the time he gets there, the vehicle will be out the way. We can't assume that. We've got to assume that this is a danger area and the situation that's arisen is going to pose a risk. And as we'll see when we advance the video, that is the case. Fortunately, there's no collision, but we see that there's a narrow escape in colliding with this vehicle, but still results in disastrous consequences for the camera. So let's see. So the camera had to swerve in order to try and miss the vehicle traveling far too slowly to cross over the road into the side lane, and because of that, is now landed up in the ditch and topples over. In this real-life clip, we've got a bit of a hill here, so you may recall from a previous video that wherever there's a rise in the road or a little bit of a hill, then vehicles on either side of the hill are somewhat obscured from each other, and so we've got to approach such a hill with a little bit more caution and perhaps even slow down somewhat. As we progress the video, now suddenly an oncoming vehicle appears and is entering into a side road. But notice that this is a sandy road, and as we get a little bit closer, it's an uneven section of road. There's quite a bit of a dip, which is why this oncoming vehicle is traveling so slowly, not wanting to damage his vehicle in entering into the side road, and fortunately for the camera, aware and slows down. So once again, if this is a road or something similar to this in the area that you normally traverse in, then know that this is a danger area, and so you mentally make a note of that. So whenever you do cross the road, such as the camera is doing, or traveling along the road rather, then to be aware or on the lookout for any vehicles that would be crossing over into the side section. And so you know this is a danger spot in your particular area. So I've included this real-life clip because I'd like to get some feedback from you viewers on what you think the camera could have done to try and avoid colliding with the truck. So it'd be good to get some feedback from you to think what could he have done in the situation. I'll give you my thoughts on the matter, but it'll be nice to hear what your thoughts are as well. So what could the camera have done to try and avoid this situation? I'm going to stop it at this point because when we have a look at the escape routes, you see there's not much for the camera to be able to escape to. So we've got vehicles on the right side. This vehicle is in fact a little bit over the line, so restricting any escape route down the right side. Oncoming vehicles on the left side, and so not much of an escape route for the camera down that side. The road, you'll notice, is slightly wet, so braking distance is a lot longer and the greater risk of a slide. If there's any harsh braking, let's advance it. At this point, for the speed that the camera is traveling, it doesn't really have the option to be able to swerve at too great an angle or angle of attack. If you're not sure of what angle of attack is, there is a page on the website which discusses that angle of attack. But for the speed that the camera is traveling, the conditions of the road, it doesn't really have that option to be able to swerve at too great an angle in order to miss the truck. So as far as I can see, a collision was actually unavoidable for the camera. But as I say, it would be nice to hear what your viewpoints or suggestions are. What I'd like to point out, if it's inevitable that there is going to be impact, then try and choose the best option available to you. Now, what do I mean by the best option? I'm going to advance the video just slightly and stop it at this point. So the best option is where the impact area is more widely distributed. So what I mean by that is the camera could either have struck the side of the truck here, which offers a fairly broad point of collision. So had the camera struck the tire, you see that there's quite a wide distribution of where the impact would take place, as opposed to the corner of the trailer being the point of impact, because now the corner is a small cross section where the contact actually gets made, and because of that, there'd be a higher penetration rate for the impact, so greater risk. Just advance it slightly, go frame by frame, and we see it lands up that the camera actually gets struck by the trailer. Now, fortunately, in this case, the trailer is quite a height, and so because of that, there's less risk to any penetration into the cabin and striking either passenger or the driver. But had the trailer been a lot lower, this could easily have penetrated into the cabin and been fatal for either the driver or the passenger, depending at what point it actually enters into the cabin. So just to reiterate, if an impact is inevitable, try and look to impact at a point where there's a greater distribution of the point of the impact. So in other words, something that's wider and flatter as opposed to something that's smaller and sharper, as we see in the trailer here. Please like, subscribe, and get notified.